Anyway, so Samyak Jnanam basically can't be shaken up by opposite experience. So that is what we say. So several examples are there. We are just giving one or two examples. Why it cannot? Because this knowledge is born of a valid pramana, and therefore it will not be shaken up by opposite experience. Dvaita Anubhava is there. In fact, we are going to say Dvaitam is not established. Dvaitam cannot be established by Pratyaksha. We are going to say that. That's another extreme. Also, because so if Dvaitam is established by Pratyaksha, it will be stronger. Pratyaksha is a Moola Pramana. If Pratyaksha established Dvaitam, how can you negate? But who says that Dvaitam can be established? Dvaitam is not established. He is going to tell that. And whereas Advaitam is born of a pramana, valid means of knowledge, and therefore it cannot be shaken up. Whereas Dvaitam is not established. So that's another thing. But anyway, we'll talk about it later. So Shishya says, well, so big talk, yeah. And I am able to understand this, that Mithya Dvaita Anubhava can't disturb Satya Dvaitam. Well, but the problem is, I am able to appreciate this Mithya Dvaitam when a Advaita teacher is there. And then once I go out, basically it becomes Satya Dvaitam, not Mithya Dvaitam. Its capacity to torment me as to becomes alive. So Dvaita Prapancha hurts me. I flare up. My response is, well, even after studying several years, my response is exactly like of a samsari. The student is saying like that. And I know also, now I know this why this problem is there. Because when there is a provoking situation, well, there is no time to think and act. And because my conscious mind is shut off. In my conscious mind, all your knowledge is there. Advaitam Satyam and Dvaitam Mithya, all knowledge in my conscious mind is there. But when I actually respond in a situation, my subconscious mind basically impulsively reacts because I have impressions. I have all the vasanas of Dvaitam Satyam in my subconscious mind. In my conscious mind, you have whatever I have listened in the class, that is there. Dvaitam Mithya. In subconscious mind, Dvaitam Satyam. And that vasanas are very strong. My all responses come not from the conscious mind. No deliberate response. Especially when reactions are there. No deliberate reaction. That we can't say deliberate reaction. So it's all the reactions are basically born of the vasanas, habits, you can say, which are in subconscious mind and which is very, very firm. And so well, therefore, conscious mind knows this Dvaita Mithyatvam, but in subconscious mind, well, this is there, that I am an individual. And I am individual means I have this ahankara. I am ahankara. And ahankara has a boundary. Aham has not spread everywhere. Aham is spread in this. Aham has a boundary. When it has a boundary, there is other than outside the boundary, automatically becomes something else. Therefore, Dvaitam will be there. And therefore, that is due to ahankara is born of ajnanam. Ajnanam is anadi. And therefore, this ahankara also is anadi. And therefore, I have a vasana that, that I am just an individual. And born of that, there is Dvaitam also is real. Everything will be there. So, all my responses come from the subconscious mind where Dvaitam is Satyam. And so when somebody comes and talks something, well, I feel immediately insulted and I react. Or somebody become angry. Then I also become angry and talk and something like that, all reactions. And therefore my subconscious mind is saturated. This student is telling all this. So my subconscious mind is saturated with these vasanas. And that is from beginningless time. So Dvaita Satyatva Vasana is also from beginningless time, form rooted. And so if I act very deliberately, well, then this Jnanam can help. But subconscious mind alone is responsible for these impulsive actions. And and I regret also that after listening to all this, that Dvaitam is Mithya, etc., in which manner I am behaving, etc. So I regret also. This is secondary samsara. Samsara born of a Dvaitam is one, but then regretting that why I respond like this is another samsara. Samsara on a samsara. Therefore, basically, all this bhayam and kama and krodha and everything is samsara. But then I have a kama, still I have a fear even after listening all these things, and all this is secondary samsara. So, and naturally all this secondary samsara will be there for to all the seekers, because they are listening that this thing will go away with the jnana, and they may be listening since many years also. And therefore when such reactions occur, fear and everything, then again they regret also. So that's another samsara. Anyway, so that is why we always say, don't have a regret. Always go to the root. And when you go to the root, you will say you are not responsible at all. Therefore, regret will go away. Really, if you go, Pujya Swamiji was saying that for ignorance, I am not responsible. I am not responsible for ignorance. By going to any university, college, school, etc., I have not gained ignorance. In fact, I am trying to shed off ignorance. I am born with ignorance. And ignorance has no cause. Ignorance has no cause. And therefore, I am not responsible for basically ignorance. It is from beginningless time, it is there. If some cause is there, then you will say, well, you are responsible for the ignorance. Oh, I am the cause of the ignorance. That's not true. And so Pujya Swamiji always used to tell, if you feel guilty more and more, away will be your nishtha. Because the self is basically a totally acceptable whole, and you feel guilty, low all the time. Anyway, so what I'm saying is basically he says this is all because of this vasana problem. So he says Jatiti Adhyasa. This is a student telling. Jatiti Adhyasaha Ayati. Jatiti. It just comes. It just flats up. Adhyasaha will be, you can say, Dvaita Satyatva Adhyasa, or you can say I am Ahankara and everything is different from me. I am individual and everyone is different from me. I am just Deha, I am the mind, etc. This is all Adhyasa. You are just consciousness. In spite of you are just consciousness, you say I am a mind, means you superimposed a mind upon yourself. So all this is considered as a adhyasa. Jatiti. Jatiti means it just comes out. All the reactions also we can say comes out instantaneously, it comes out. So all these misconceptions are there. Dridavasanaya, he himself tells, Dridavasanaya, because of the old habits. Pujya Swamiji also was giving an example that the beggar was suddenly, this Swamiji also, we also has given this example recently. So this beggar was suddenly, he became rich because he got some jackpot, etc. And so he wants to remind himself that he is rich now. He has to remind, because and so he has a costly dress and costly ornaments and golden chain and ring and everything, and chauffeur-driven car and everything is there. And but still he is not sure, because he just recently got that all these things. So all the time he has to remind that he is now a rich person. He is not a beggar. But in some place, outside the temple, free certain things were distributed. He just comes out of the car and snatched from the person who was distributing. And then he wanted to see what is the thing they are distributing. So as he was trying to see in his hand, he found that ring also along with, and he reminded, I'm not a beggar now. So golden ring, he saw that also along with the things which he snatched. And so this is how it is. So basically, Dridavasana of the beggarliness, basically. And so due to that, we call it as a Viparita Bhavana also. That is the same thing. Viparita Bhavana, Vasana, habit also you can say. Suppose if you don't like word Vasana, you can say habit. Habit of taking embodiment sense complex as oneself, individual as oneself, ahankara as oneself, etc. etc. So, I understand that this Dridavasana, due to Dridavasana only, I forget everything. In presence of a teacher, I say, Dvaitam Mithya. Once I go out of the class, I say, no, Dvaitam is Satyam. And I need not say, but my reactions, etc., prove that. So I understand that it is due to vasana, dhrida vasana only. So, well, and so how to remove that now? I understand the problem. That is due to dhrida vasana, very firm, all uh, misconceptions, etc. How to remove? Well, teacher says, well, to handle vasana, well, you have to develop counter vasana. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. And so, well, but how to develop this counter vasana? The Vidyaranya says, well, you check your life, how you have formed several habits in your life. How you have formed? Be due to repeated practice. Like suppose if you are used to attend a class, I'm just saying, this is not to say something to you, etc. If you are used to attend a class on a particular day, particular time, then you know this that you are not developing that habit of attending that class at that time, well, immediately. So first few days you have to remind yourself, no, today is a Panchadashi class. Yeah, Wednesday is there, so Panchadashi class 10:30. Suppose new person, he has to remind. Or maybe Friday, oh, Panchadashi class will be there, Panchadashi. So initially you remind, but after some class, or some classes, well, if you do that way, well, your mind immediately says Wednesday 10:30 means Panchadashi. Immediately mind says Panchadashi. So this is how it is. And to the extent that in between, suppose vacation comes, then your mind at particular time 10:30, well, you will really, you feel something odd. What is this time is meant for that, and vacation passes beautifully. And now you have to develop again to attend the class. I'm telling you very frankly. You people are very sincere, but generally it happens. If you suppose 3-4 months, if you don't attend any class, then if we announce the class, you will find that it is not that easy to attend now at the class at the 10:30. So this is how it is. This is how our mind is working, and therefore, what is repeated in our mind, in the conscious mind, percolates into subconscious mind, and therefore, well, you have to practice this. What should I do to develop these new habits? What should I do? Vidyaranya says very beautiful. Vivekam sada avartayet. Avartayet. Practice. Repeat. What? Vivekam. He brought Viveka here. Sada. Always. Always practice this. What is a Vivekam? You can understand very well. It's a Satyamithya Viveka. But what is a Viveka which is really a cause of a Dvaita? Is that I am Ahankara. I am individual. That's it. That's it. I am Ahankara. Actually, Ahankara is Anatma, Mithya. And I am the Sakshi of Ahankara, or Atma, which is Satyam. All the time you have to do this Viveka. That's the only thing. And for that purpose, what should I do? Nididhyasana. Anything which is to be repeated, believe me, it is Nididhyasana. In our case. Not Shravanam, not Mananam. It's a Nididhyasana. But you are saying in Nididhyasanam, Shravanam can be done. Yeah, but then Shravanam basically has to be, practiced again and again. Means you listen again and again. May not be the same thing, something else related to this. Atmanatma Viveka basically. So Nididhyasanam is Abhyasa. Then we call it Abhyasa. Bhagavan has also told in the 6th chapter for something else. When I think Arjuna was asking Chanchalam hi Manakrishna Pramati Balavad Drinam, etc., etc. And this mind is very, very Chanchalam, etc. And it's all the time moving here and there. And so what is to be done? Bhagavan said 2 things only. One is Abhyasa. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Only 2 things. One is a vairagya. Well, definitely a less. Try to make yourself free from the hold of the objects, basically, which we call asakti or a attachment. And that's called, if the absence of asakti itself is a vairagya, there is no other vairagya. Vairagya means the absence of a raga, basically, and therefore that is attachment. So that is one exercise you have to do, And secondly, abhyas. Abhyasena tu kaunte. Repeat again and again and again and again. And there are two types of Nididhyasana I have already talked. And one is a Brahma Abhyasa, another is Samadhi Abhyasa. But it is Abhyasa. Abhyasa alone works, nothing else, because you have developed all the habits in your life by Abhyasa. And therefore, if you develop a new habit of doing that I am not Ahankara, etc., Dvaitam is Mithya. Advaitam Satyam, Atma Satyam, etc. Now you want to have that thing in your mind all the time. Well, form an habit. There is no way out. So far as I know, there is no other solution. And Bhagavan also is not talking about. Anyway, so this is, Ahankara is Mithya, Mamakara is Mithya, I am a Sakshi, etc. Well, that repetition. And repetition means not just doing Om Namah Shivaya kind of a repetition. Listen again and again, dwell upon the teaching, etc. And Nididhyasanam, will be useful. 252. Viveke dvaita mithyatvam yuktyaiveti na bhanyatam achintya rachanatvasya anubhutir hi sasakshiki. So, student continues with a complaint. Teacher told about this forming a new habit, etc. Now, student has some other difficulty. Very beautiful questions are there. He says, well, how we have done in Dvaita Mithyatva Nishchaya? He is asking that question. So, he says, I have something else in my mind. How Dvaita Satyatva Vasana is stronger than Dvaita Mithyatva Vasana. Very beautiful reason he gives. He says, well, because how we have found Dvaitam is Mithya? How we have found? Because he is telling to teacher, you have proved Dvaitam is Mithya. Proving means, well, logic. How Dvaitam is Mithya, for that you have given several examples and ultimately said, well, you gave example of a one person who is standing in the middle of the room and there are 10 mirrors and this and that, and therefore, well, there are not 11 people and several things, other things. And therefore, same way here also you said, well, Brahman alone is a Satyam and everything else is dependent upon Brahman and for its being and for its, shining and everything. And therefore, basically, consciousness alone is the reality. So, Dvaitam you have proved Mithya by logic. Yuktya, he says. Yuktya. Whereas Dvaitam, Satyam, is proved by Pratyaksha. You just open your eyes and you see thousands of things. Dvaitam. And therefore, Dvaita Satyatva is proven by Pratyaksha Pramana. Dvaita Mithyatva is proven by Yukti Anumana Pramana. And therefore, Pratyaksha is a Prabala Pramana compared to Anumanam, Yukti, logic. And therefore, Dvaita Satyatvam, which is proven by Pratyaksha, is stronger than Dvaita Mithyatvam. Very beautiful argument. Dvaita Mithyatvam Dvaita Mithyatvam you cannot prove by your eyes, by your ears. In your experience, you cannot say Dvaitam is Mithya. In your experience, Dvaitam is Satyam. Pratyaksha. Anubhava, my experience means here Pratyaksha. Whereas, Dvaita Mithyatvam you have to prove logically. And that logic is a weaker pramana compared to the Pratyaksha. That's true. Pratyaksha is a Mula pramana. In fact, Anuman, they call it Pratyaksha as a Upajivya pramana. Upajivya means a supporter. Supporter of Anumana. Anumanam will not be possible if Pratyaksha is not there. We know several examples of Anumanam we have done in past also. Like, you prove logically that there is a fire on the mountain. How do you prove? Because you see something, smoke. Suppose if you are not able to see smoke, how will you prove that there is a fire? You cannot. And therefore, to prove something logically, you need some data based on pratyaksha. And so pratyaksha is a mula pramana. Pratyaksha, well, is not dependent upon anything. Eyes are there and you see a form, that's it. That's it. You cannot say now, no, eyes are able to see this particular form, color, etc. Well, because it is dependent upon so and so pramana, etc. Nothing. That's a mula pramana. And so that pratyaksha reveals Dvaitam is Satyam. You hear varieties of the sounds. You are hearer. What you hear is different from you. You see a form. Form is different. Which is seen. You are a seer. Different. So simple. So Dvaita Satyatvam is stronger because it is based on your direct experience called Pratyaksha. Whereas Dvaita Mithyatvam is based on logic, which is a weaker pramana. And therefore Dvaita Mithyatvam also is weaker. The Satyatvasana is much stronger. That's what he says. And so, so Yuktya Viveke Sati. So by using logic, even when inquiry is made, Viveke Sati, well, Atmanatma Viveka, Ahankaratma Viveka, Ahankar, Sakshi Viveka, even if you do, and prove that, well, basically Dvaitam is Mithya, but it is Yuktya alone. And so Viveke Dvaita Mithyatvam Yuktya eva iti. So up to that is a quotation by a student. Na bhanyatam, teacher. Teacher says, well, don't say like that. Why? Dvaita Mithyatvam is Pratyaksha Siddham or Anubhav Siddham. And basically that is we have already talked about before. Dvaita Mithyatvam is Pratyaksha Siddham, Anubhava Siddham, we have already talked about it before. Because Achintya Rachanatva, Tasya. Basically a Rachana. Rachana means a creation, formation. So this what you see, the world, Dvaitam, is basically Achintya Rachana, that is this formation is inexplicable in nature, is Anubhuti. Anubhuti means it is Anubhav Siddham. So we ourselves are witness for that. We know it also, that this what so-called Dvaitam, the creation, etc., well, is Mithya. Why it is Mithya? Because it is inexplicable. We cannot categorize the world we cannot put this world into a given category. We cannot put. Whether tree comes first from the seed or seed comes from the tree. What? Not able to explain. In mother's womb, if just few cells are there, or even a dot will be there, and how it became this body? It's amazing. In fact, I heard that, the doctors can correct me, but I heard that initially there are all same types of cells, few bunch of cells, and then Puja Swamiji used to tell that there is some inhibition occurred, and then divided into various types of cells. Brain cells are different, and the cells in the skin are different, and on the liver there are different types of cells. Initially there were only a few same type of cells, and if the cell grows and they divide and multiply, and then you should have a bunch or one body of a same type of cells. Something happened, and some inhibition. Swamiji used to call it as an inhibition. Some inhibition occurred, and then all varieties of the cells are now then born, and then they multiply and gave rise to varieties of the organs and everything. How it occurred, we don't know. In fact, in verse 143, he himself, Vidyaranya, told this world as a Aindrajalikam. Indrajala means a magic, basically. So this creation, which you call as a Satyam, we have proven that it is Mithya. Because we are not, this creation is inexplicable. This word I don't like, because Pujya Swamiji also was. Inexplicable means you are not able to explain. But we are talking about the creation, and therefore we are trying to make it explain as a Mithya also. And therefore we should not say Pujaswami says that. But anyway, what I want to convey is this, that basically this world we cannot categorize in a given category. Whether it is there, we can't say. It is not there, we cannot say. Sat, we cannot say. Asat, we cannot say. This is how it is. If it is Sat, Trikale api tishtati, it should be simple. Let us not go into much philosophy. I am going to give you more examples, but it is simple. Trikale api tishtati, the Sat. This definition even scientists are not able to negate. Scientists are not able to negate. Truth is something which cannot be negated in all the three periods of time. And the whole world is, including space and time, are negated. Negated. How can you say? Well, if it is there in all the three periods of time, you should be able to experience, because you only say this world is Anubhava Siddham, Pratyaksha Siddham. But this world is now not available for Pratyaksham in all the three periods of time, including your body, including your thoughts, including even Ahankara. Nothing is available other than you, just a Sakshi. That was a question, in fact, in 10th chapter we'll see that. So this is how it is. Other than Sakshi, nothing is available in the Sushupti. Nothing is available. You can't say, well, Sakshi also is not. Sakshi word we can't use because there is nothing to witness. That's okay, but you are there. Don't use word Sakshi. But you are something which is beyond time, beyond space, beyond all objects. Is there. Whatever you want to call. You may, if you don't like to call as a witness, no problem. Because witness means something to be witnessed should be there. Correct? Very true. In absence of a time, in absence of a space or place, or in absence of objects, something exists. And not only that, it's not some inert entity. It says I did not experience time, space and objects in a deep sleep state. Means it's a conscious entity. To say that I did not experience, an inert thing cannot say like that. And therefore, definitely, basically, that is Sat. And other than that, everything is Asat. Asat? Non-existent? Then what is in the waking state? To whom you are talking right now? To Asat? So we experience also. So I experience world. It may be a dream world, or it may be this world, empirical world, waking state. So you experience. I experience means it is true. If it is true, or if it is truth, it should not go at any time. Should not be negated in any periods of time. But you negate it also. What is it? What is it? This is called Mithya. So what you call this world, Pratyaksha Siddha and Anubhava Siddha, and it is true. What is Pratyaksha is Mithya. What is Pratyaksha, so-called Dvaitam? Pratyaksha reveals it is Mithya for us. They say it is based on Pratyaksha, and therefore Dvaita Satyam is basically a stronger. Dvaitam is Satyam is based on Pratyaksha, means it is stronger. We say Pratyaksha reveals Dvaitam is Mithya. You cannot categorize this. It is exactly like a snake on a rope. You cannot say, well, there is no snake. Then you only called me. People call, from the neighbor. Please come. There is some snake in my room. So you call. So therefore there must be a real snake. Then if it is a real snake, then by torch it cannot just go. What is it? So more you try to understand universe, in fact, now I will talk little something different. More you try to understand the universe, more mysterious it becomes, really. on a superficial level, everything is fine. That's how our Vyavara takes place. All on a superficial level. Oh, I am seer, you are seen, and I am eater, and this is something to be eaten, and all this at a superficial level. If you literally go deep into a given thing, in order to find out the truth of that thing, it's all mystery. How will you say? Science is telling. I'm not saying. Science only is revealing this. And therefore, the scientists do try to explain this universe. That solve problem at one level, but then another question mark will always remain. If there is no question mark by solving the problem in science, science will end. That's it. They have found the truth. Then there is no question of advancing the science. Science advances. Oh, advances with what? Well, they have not gained a final answer. That's all it proves. In any given thing, no final answer. In a cell, my God, books and books. I don't understand a single thing, but I have seen a library on cell biology. My God, cell biology, there is a library. Books and books, you cannot lift even. 2000 pages, 3000 pages. So much. And we find that ultimately they must have found the truth of the cell. What is cell? They keep on finding some new things, and therefore they ultimately, if they have too much of material, they will have to say it's a new discipline now. And therefore they have a new discipline. In cell biology itself, there are several disciplines. Several things. You take a body, Puja Swami used to tell also, I need not tell. Puja Swami says for the given body, new and new areas of, findings they discover. My God. And this is one level. Then basically this mystery we experience at a medical level also. In as much as two groups of people are there, one group of people to whom doctors give a certificate they are medically fit. But they have still some sickness. Doctors say you have no problem, we have done all findings, etc. But patient goes through all the problems. And other group of people where medical parameters are basically, according to medical parameters, this person should be in an intensive care unit. But this person is driving here and there. He says, I am fine. I have found recently one person whose blood pressure, hypertension, blood pressure was literally too high. And doctor says, you immediately get admitted into the hospital. You may get any brain stroke, anything can happen. He says, this kind of a reading I get since several months. And still he is without any tablet also. This person is there. And I asked that person that how is he now reading? He got the same reading. Always high. Doctor say this person should be in a medical, he should be in the hospital. Why he is not in the hospital itself is a mystery for me. That one doctor told me also. This is how it is. We don't know. This is just by the way. This is one person. In Ahmedabad, there is, there wall city. And then there are other areas which, got developed later. Earlier it was just a wall city when the king was there And in wall city, there are several shops. All, of namkeens, savory and then all these bhajis and so several shops. Because people are also people also love that kind of food in wall city. One person I know, he's still 80-year-old now. He has formed an habit of daily eating 250 grams of bhajis. Daily. I say, you should stop now. You are not a young person. And he says, no. The doctor also told he has no cholesterol problem at all. And one other person I know who is just 40-year-old. I'm telling you the truth now. 40-year-old. And whatever he eats, I don't know. Every month his cholesterol is always high. He doesn't eat all this kind of a thing. Anything, as if it looks like whatever he eats gets converted into cholesterol. It looks like. Because every month he got, checked, and he doesn't eat. The poor person, he himself is a doctor, in fact. He was a doctor. He's a sannyasi now. What I'm saying is, so I don't know. It's a mystery. So we have, any given thing, any given thing is true in a certain parameters. Beyond the parameters is not true. You can understand, this is better statement compared to my previous statement. Any given thing you can understand with a given parameters. That's all. Not with all parameters. That is mithya. Means this thing is like this. You can say that in a certain diagram of a parameter, in certain periphery of a parameters. Beyond that, that thing cannot be called the same thing. It's something different. This is how it is. This is called sadasat vilakshana. So the whole world, which is pratyaksha siddham, is not satyam. It is mithya. And therefore, oh dear student, well, don't say that it is pratyaksha siddham, therefore dvaita satyatvam is stronger than dvaita mithyatvam based on yukti. Don't say that. Pratyaksha reveals dvaitam is mithya. Anyway, and you can understand. Now I talk about philosophers. This is from the science standpoint. From philosophers' standpoint, all types of vadas are there for creation. Scientists also have their own theories for creation. So the world which you call, this Dvaitam, which you call real, and therefore Dvaitam is also real, there is no single view about the creation. How the creation has come about. We have a Satkaryavada, we have Asatkaryavada, we have, Vivartavada, everything is there. Everything is there. Scientists have their own theories. So that proves, we say, decide first whether the creation is there or not. Right? Vivarta. Vivarta means what? Vivarta means what? There is no creation. Swaswarupa aparityagena rupantara apattihi vivartaha. That's how the definition is. Swaswarupa aparityagena. By giving up one's own, without giving up one's own nature, a given thing appears in a different form is called vivarta. So like Rajju, we give an example of a rope. Without undergoing any change, well, appears in the form of a snake. So this kind of a thing. We say vivarta. Well, Sankhya says Satkaryavada, that this thing was there before it's in a cause. The effect was there in a cause. It only got manifested. Sometimes we accept that, but not in reality, frankly speaking. And then we have Asatkaryavada of a Nayayikas. They say the thing was not there at all. It has really begun. The effect has really begun. A new effect has been created from the cause. Not the effect was present in the cause, etc. etc. So for a creation also, there is no single theory. Itself proves this creation is not real. Anyway, so this is all swasakshiki anubhutihi swaeva sakshi yasyaha anubhutehi. This experience we have of this world, well, is of this kind of a nature, inexplicable or not, we cannot uncategorizable, etc. Well, you need not have to ask to anybody. Swasakshiki. Everyone is a witness of this such a kind of a creation, of this nature of the world. So student says, well, okay, I understood. I experienced such a kind of a world. You said it is true. I witnessed myself that this world is inexplicable, etc., etc. But how can you say it is mithya? We say that inexplicable alone is called mithya. Okay? And therefore, so inexplicable or anirvachaniyam or sadasad vilakshanam, everything, well, we have another word for that, so called mithya. So mithya is not a name of a given thing. Mithya just reveals the status of a given thing in terms of a reality. That's all. Mithya and Satyam word do not denote any object, but they basically reveal the status of a reality of that thing. That's all. So when we say Sadeva Satyam, that Satyam is an ontological word, what Pujya Swami says, it is true. Satyam means, ontological means it just reveals the status in terms of reality about the Sat or Brahman. And the world is Mithya, Jagan Mithya, etc. So any given name and form basically is Mithya, means the Mithya word well also reveals the status in terms of reality about that object. So Mithyatvam is Anubhav Siddham. We are saying this. He says Satyatvam is Anubhav Siddham. We say Mithyatvam is Anubhav Siddham. That's the difference. 253. Chidapyachintya rachana yadi tarhyastu no vayam. Chidapyachintya rachana yadi tarhyastu no vayam. Chitim suchintya rachanam. Chitim suchintya rachanam. Brumo nityatva karanat. Now student asks another question. These are all very beautiful questions asked by the student, and so and our doubts also are resolved along with him. So he says creation is achintyam, and so therefore definitely achintyam anirvachaniyam, etc. And therefore dvaitam is mithya because its formation is inexplicable, etc. Then Chaitanyam formation also is inexplicable. Rachana of a Chaitanyam, formation of a Chaitanyam also is achintyam. So therefore if you say anything is achintyam, is mithya, anirvachaniyam, therefore how Chaitanya came? How Chaitanya has been formed? Can you say that? He asked to teacher. Teacher said, no, I can't say. Well, then it is also achintyam, right? Yeah, and therefore Chaitanya also is mithya. Now there is another question. So Chaitanya mithya, achintya rachana rupatvat, dvaita prapanchavat, we have formed a Anumana Vakya. So basically, earlier we said Jagat mithya, Jagan mithya you can say, if you combine together. Jagan mithya, achintya rachanatvatvat, or achintya rachanatvat. Dvaita, definitely. For that we will have to take an object, because whole Dvaitam we are taking into, or we will have to take a Vyatireka. So Vyatirekena Brahmavat, we have to say like that. Some counter example we have to give. We cannot give the example because the whole world we have taken into the Paksha, and therefore you have to give a counter example. So Vyatirekena Chaitanyavat Brahmavat we can say. So but here, so same like Jagat is Mithya because it is inexplicable, cannot be categorized this, that, and therefore it is mithya. Okay. Then Chaitanyam also is like that. Chaitanyam also is mithya. Why? Achintya rachanatva. How consciousness is formed? Tell me. How consciousness? Yeah, teacher say, yeah, I can't tell. So Chit also is achintya rachana. So scientists are, this is true that scientists are confused with this question. Originally at Big Bang time, basically there was no life. Just matter alone was there. That is confirmed. Matter alone was there. And after that life came. How life came? How that conscious being emerged from the matter, which is jadam? How? They can't say. They can't explain. So evolution basically that theory is okay. Evolution explains basically, one life from another life. That is okay. Evolved. Earlier this life was there, now this life. A little evolved. Then monkeys evolved into a human being and all that. So evolution basically explains one life from another life. But the life itself has come from the matter. So life means a conscious being. How a consciousness emerges from the matter? Formation cannot be explained. And if you cannot explain, consciousness is mithya. If you cannot explain creation, because it is a formation of this creation, etc., you cannot explain. Therefore, it is mithya. Right? You said, So, well, Chaitanyam also is like that. You cannot explain the formation of Chaitanyam. Therefore, Chaitanyam also is Mithya. Right? Very nice question, right? So, therefore, Chit api achintya rachana bhavati. So, this is student is telling. Chit api achintya rachana bhavati. Chit almost consciousness also is achintya rachana. You cannot explain the formation of it. Vidyaranya says, tarhi astu. Tarhi astu. Achintya rachanatvam. Well, achintya rachanatvam, that word is common for both. For the world as well as for the consciousness. Tarhi astu. So, well, basically both are achintya rachana, but have a different reasons for achintya rachana. Dvaitam formation is achintyam or inexplicable, etc. Because you can't say whether it comes from sat or whether it comes from asat. So it is therefore in formation itself we say it is sadasat. Right? Just think of this example again. How come a snake emerges from the rope? Like that snake basically cannot come. The snake is a conscious entity, conscious being, conscious entity, and the rope is an inert entity. How a conscious entity emerges from the inert entity? So you cannot say sat also. And then therefore, if you cannot say sat, then you say asat. There is no this snake has not emerged from the rope. You can't say every beat of the snake is rope. Okay, then snake has emerged from the rope. Okay, if snake has emerged from the rope, then but rope is inert. Snake is a conscious entity. How it emerged? What happened? Rope underwent some kind of a transformation to become a snake? No. Rope cannot, give a birth to snake. Or rope cannot get converted into snake. Therefore, there is no snake. But then you experience also snake. So far as rope snake is concerned, well, we can't say it is really from the sat or it is from asat. Its formation itself is basically sadasat vilakshanam, and therefore their inexplicability of a creation, rope snake or creation here, well, is because of a different reasons, naturally. Whereas consciousness is also we call inexplicable because it doesn't have a creation at all. Consciousness is not created at all. It is anadi, and therefore, Dvaitam has a creation, and it cannot be explained, and therefore we call it as achintya rachana. But consciousness has no creation. Consciousness is not created at all, and therefore, consciousness is also called achintya rachana. So basically, Atma is consciousness. Why? It's consciousness. What will you say? So you can't explain. This is exactly like why fire is hot. Why fire is hot? There's no reason. It's in nature. Same way, so consciousness basically also cannot be explained in terms of its formation because there is no formation. There is no formation of a consciousness. So there are different reasons for basically inexplicability of both. Jagat is formed, but it is formed from the Sat, means there is real creation that we cannot say. And Jagat is Asat, means it has come from Shunyam, that also we cannot say. And Jagat itself is experience, and therefore we cannot call Asat. Jagat doesn't remain in all the three periods of time, and therefore we cannot call Sat. So therefore Jagat is achintya rachana. Basically we are able to say from different reasons. But consciousness is achintya rachana, because ultimately consciousness is not formed at all. Therefore, if you are asking me about the formation, creation of consciousness, how can I explain you? And therefore he says, Chitim suchintya rachanam vayam na brumaha. Chitim means consciousness. Suchintya rachanam vayam na brumaha. We don't say creation of a Chaitanyam is explicable. creation of a Chaitanyam can be explained, we don't say. Why? Because Chaitanyam is not created at all. Would you follow that? Therefore, therefore here Achintya Rachana, if you say, that is fine, because it is not created at all. So the reason he has given, Nityatva Karana. And therefore, because it is Nityam, therefore it is not created, that's the reason. Even scientists also can't talk about the origination of consciousness, basically. So if it does not originate, well, how come life come later, etc.? Well, we have a different answer for that. Consciousness was all the time there. Consciousness manifested through the matter. We say that it was existing all the time. Nityatva Karana. Even before Big Bang, we can say, well, during Big Bang, before Big Bang it was there, during Big Bang also it is there, was there, and after Big Bang also it is there. If proper medium is not there, consciousness won't manifest. If proper medium is there, it manifests. When it manifests, well, if you don't understand consciousness as a Nityam, you will say consciousness has been created by the matter when it manifests. And therefore, so consciousness also, we don't say basically that creation of consciousness is explainable. We don't say. We take it as inexplicable, but because there is no creation at all of consciousness. Nityatva Karana, because it is Nityam. Whereas creation, well, definitely is Achintya Rachana, inexplicable, because we are not able to categorize the creation. Whether there is a real creation or whether there is no creation, etc., we are not able to say at all. And therefore, Sadasad Vilakshanam, therefore it is inexplicable. That's a different reason. Here it is a different reason. So that is how we answer. Last, verse 254. Pragabhavo nanubhutah chiter nitya tataschitihi dvaitasya pragabhavastu chaitanyena anubhuyate. Another question. I will take only 5 minutes, don't worry. Now student says, well, Dvaitam has a formation, origination, and because it is Anityam, etc., etc. And therefore, naturally, what is Anityam has been created, that we can understand. And what type of creation, etc., you are not able to understand its nature, and so you call it Mithya, Anirvachniyam, etc. I understand. Means this world, Dvaitam, was not there before Anityam, and that I understand. In case of Chaitanyam, you said it is Nityam. That's what we say. Now, Purapakshi or a student, well, he asks, how do you say Chaitanyam is not originated and this Dvaitam or world is created? How do you say that? Vidyaranya asks, if you say Chaitanyam has originated, it means before origination, Chaitanyam was absent. Like in case of creation. Creation, well, you say Anityam, because it has been originated. Before origination, it was not there. Right? Naturally. Sadeva Somedam Agra Asit. Creation was not there before, only Sat was there, etc., etc. So we are telling to student who is asking, how can you say Chaitanyam is Nityam and this creation or Dvaitam is Anityam? So Chaitanyam is not originated, how do you say? So, well, we say, if Chaitanyam, before origination, Chaitanyam was absent, naturally, if it is Anityam. And in Tarka Shastra, basically, absence before origination is called Prag Abhava. Prag means before. Abhava means a non-existence, absence. So, absence before birth of a creation. That's true. Like a mother. See, you understand. So, mother basically witness a pragabhava of a child. Mother witnesses pragabhava. Mother witnesses a absence of a child before its birth. Naturally, mother knows. Child does not experience its pragabhava. Child cannot experience its own abhava before birth. That you can understand. But mother has witnessed a pragabhava absence, prior absence, before birth. So to prove something has originated, one has to prove that this thing was not there before. Then we can say now it has originated, it has taken birth. Vidyaranyaka says, how do you prove pragabhava, prior absence of consciousness? If you can prove, we will say Chaitanyam also is originated like creation. You are asking us a question. Well, how that, basically this Chaitanyam is not originated and Dvaitam is created. Well, how do you say that? Chaitanyam also might have originated. Okay, agreed. If Chaitanyam has originated, well, how will you prove the prior absence, prior non-existence of consciousness before it originated? If you can prove it, well, fine. That Chaitanya was not there before and now it is there and therefore Chaitanya has originated, we can say. So who will witness? We are asking. So how do you prove Pragabhava of Chaitanya, or who will witness the absence of consciousness? To witness absence of consciousness, well, definitely you require consciousness. Ultimately, to witness anything, you need consciousness. That's all. Anything which is inert cannot witness anything. And therefore, basically, to witness even a prior absence of a consciousness, you require consciousness, and therefore you can't talk about it as a bhava. So Chaitanya Utpatti cannot be talked about, and therefore its Rachana, formation also cannot be talked about. And therefore, if you say, well, its formation you are saying inexplicable, true. Formation of a consciousness is inexplicable, true. Formation of a creation is inexplicable, true. Formation of a consciousness is inexplicable, true. Reasons are different. One is Nityam, and therefore one cannot prove a prior absence of consciousness. And so, Chitehe pragabhavaha na anubhutaha. So when there is no pratyaksha pramana, well, Chitehe pragabhava na anubhuta, one cannot experience basically this a prior absence of a consciousness. And therefore you cannot even do a anumana pramana. There is no pratyaksha pramana itself. No one can witness the origination of consciousness, or no one can witness the prior non-existence or absence of a consciousness, and therefore even you can't do anumana also. Anumanam is basically you require pratyaksha, some data from that, and therefore chitihi nitya bhavati. Well, chitihi, consciousness is nityam. So in case of Dvaitam, you can't say Dvaitam has a praga, has no pragabhava basically. We experience daily. Dvaitam has a pragabhava. Dvaitam has a pragabhava, we experience daily, and therefore Dvaitasya pragabhavastu chaitanyena anubhuyate. Well, so basically this Dvaitam is experienced. The prior absence of a Dvaitam is experienced by everyone. And then experienced by whom? By this consciousness. Chaitanyena anubhuyate. Whereas prior absence of a consciousness cannot be experienced. You require a witness, which is consciousness. So consciousness cannot experience a absence of a consciousness, etc., prior or later. And therefore, this creation is basically inexplicable. It is true. And so both. This kind of the creation is mithya. We can easily say through pratyaksha. Dvaitam mithya. Don't say Dvaitam is Satyam based on pratyaksha. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.